All right, 5 great minutes with Jimmy Viccaro on every Tuesday. If you're ever in Las Vegas, visit him at the Southpoint. You'll love it, and follow him on Twitter at Jimmy Viccaro. Over 40 years in the business as a bookmaker. Great to talk to you as always, Jimmy. Let's start here because I know you mentioned it a month ago, and now that it's over, the perception is, oh no, Cubs win the World Series, going to be a bloodbath. Not the case because they went off as co-favorites. You were okay.
Yeah, it was the same old story, Paulie. Obviously, when the uninitiated or the people who really don't follow as close as people like me and you, it looked like because the Cubs haven't won for 108 years, excuse me, that it would be a bloodbath if they ever won it. But remember, the last 3 years, especially since Madden took over, those odds have been reduced. And this year we opened about at 12-1. We were down as low as 5-1, and naturally, other than the Texas Rangers, there was a pickup. We'd have picked up about 30,000 more if the Indians would have won it, but we did fairly well with the Cubs winning. But it worked out well because the Game 7 was just like a mini Super Bowl weekend. What I mean by that, like the place was packed, a lot of small bets, and it was just a lot of fun for everybody. And it fell on a Wednesday when there was really nothing else going on there. So the perfect storm for a bookmaker. You had a day, you filled your book up, you made a few dollars with the future, and you had some fun. And what more can you ask for?
All right, well done there. Let's go back to Saturday in college football. How'd you make out?
College football was okay until the three late favorites came in there. Some solid assassins, if you want to call it, is Notre Dame, obviously losing to Navy. That was a big game. And another game that didn't draw a lot of headlines with what you would consider mainstream, but for us was a big game also. A lot of money on Iowa and Penn State, obviously, with the 41-14 final, but it really, really helped. But remember, all those big favorites, especially the three late ones, Washington, Alabama, and Nebraska, when Nebraska obviously got carried away also. So when you put in those three finals with the parlay, it made it for a peanut winner day. But business is just up and up and up more every week. It's just incredible. But to answer your question, we win a ham sandwich on Saturday.
You get professional money on LSU. The public bets Alabama every week. How about the, as you call it, event bettor who had a six-figure bet on Alabama money line?
Yeah, he came in, same thing. He follows the instructions. He says, to me and Chris, if he comes in early, can he bet that type of money? Especially, he's laying minus 320. He laid the 320 for $100,000, and naturally, but nothing at the half. I don't know what he was doing while he was watching the game. But but remember also, Paul, when we take these kind of bets with that sort of time left there, we did adjust the price. We got about a third of it back, so it wasn't disastrous. This guy is now 4-0 with the big bridge jumper, as you like to call him, 100,000 in Alabama. That game was a bad game for two reasons. First of all the parlays and that kind of stuff went to mainstream people. So we went to 7.5, and the game come. When it was 7.5, a lot of the pros jumped in and took the dog at the 7.5. So if it falls 7, it's no good because we get started. If it came 10 like it did, we win some money with the plus 7.5, but it just carried all the futures over. So it was one of those pain in the ass games where we were just fighting just to get out with a small loser.
Jimmy Viccaro, our guest. To the NFL now, I imagine the Saints game was one of the worst of the season because you had professional and public money on the Saints.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it there. We closed the game. I think we even blinked at 6 for a second. I mean, that's how bad it was. We went up, and there was no buyers there. So even with Kaepernick trying to obviously reestablish himself in the NFL, he had, if you look at his stats, it doesn't look that bad, but he was always catching up, so they're always like laying back, and they could never, ever overtake that team. So the Saints and the Cowboys are naturally our two worst games of the day, and in both games really, really didn't have much of a chance. And where we're going with the Cowboys, I don't know. I mean, they keep going up there, and the Cleveland Browns have now eliminated themselves to win the Super Bowl, and now 0-9. But yes, Cowboys, Saints, very bad. Then you go later, the topper was the Oakland Raiders. A lot of late money on the Raiders. Favor of the day for us and probably every book from here to Mars was the Green Bay Packers losing. It would have been very bad if the Packers would have beat the teasers there, but at least we got one break. And it's the same thing for the entire weekend. A lot of money bet on both sides, and both Saturday and Sunday. A small winner. Actually did fairly well with the fight. There was some all-dog money there with Vargas, and from what I understand, didn't see the fight, but they literally had no chance. And the one judge, Moretti, I believe, had an unbelievable score on it. But like I said, when you pick up a little bit bits and pieces here and there. It helps to fortify, at least takes away some of the sting. But obviously, from what I understand, and the sound you just made, that Pacquiao really dominated the fight from beginning to the end.
Oh, that judge should be drug tested. Dave Moretti had it 114, 113. Gave Vargas 5 of the first 6 rounds. You got to be kidding me. As a guy who's been doing this a long time, Conor McGregor fights Saturday pay-per-view in Madison Square Garden, New York City. How do you compare boxing to a big MMA, UFC card now?
Well, obviously, the McGregor fight, only because he's fortified himself as probably the number one attraction in that sport, and rightfully so. He's good, bad, and indifferent at times. Whatever we did Saturday will be microscopic. We'll do a minimum of 10 times more business on the McGregor fight than we did on Saturday. Holly, do you know people didn't even talk about the Pacquiao fight in the weeks leading up to the fight? It was incredible. As you can see, his star power is gone also. The Mayweather there with the parading around. If they fight again, it really won't mean what it used to be. But to answer your question, yes. Next Saturday will be a monster fight compared to what we just had 2 days ago.
Very good, sir. Thanks for 5 great minutes. We'll catch up with you next week. Hey, guys, for the full video, go to sbrpicks.com.
Go to sbrodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.